simple, compound and complex sentences. So our learning objective for this video is to be able to use a variety of sentence structures for impact. Now that means just 3 simple kinds of sentences, but the reason we've got to do this is to be able really to prove to the examiner that you can do that, so that they can allocate those marks. So those 3 sentence types I mentioned are called simple sentences, compound sentences and complex sentences. And for the exam, you don't even need to be able to remember the names of these 3 types of sentences. You just have to be able to show that you can use them, and you can use them for effect, which is what we're going to be coming on to at the end of the video. Now we're going to start with simple sentences. So nice and simple, they live up to their name completely. All simple sentences contain one piece of information. So one piece of information just means that they have to make sense on their own. English teachers often refer to this as clauses, but again, you don't have to remember that word. You just have to remember that they contain one piece of information and make sense on their own. So this is an example of a simple sentence. She changed the light bulb. Full stop. It makes perfect sense on its own. Second example. She didn't like fixing things. Again, makes perfect sense on its own. Doesn't matter that it's more than one thing at the end there, just the fact that it makes sense on its own and it's one piece of information being given to you. So simple sentences really are very, very simple, and that's all there is to it. So everybody can do that. What we're going to look at now is how you make it a compound sentence. So a little bit more challenging, but again, not too tricky. You just have to remember that with a compound sentence, what you're doing is getting 2 simple sentences and then joining them together with a conjunction. And when we say conjunction, we mean words like and, so, but. I'm sure there are plenty of other conjunctions that you can think of, but those are just a few examples for you. So let's take those 2 sentences that we had when we were looking at simple sentences. Now, if we're going to change this into a compound sentence, all we've done is added our conjunction in there. So we've added the word but, so that the sentence now reads, she changed the light bulb, but she didn't like fixing things. So it makes perfect sense, 2 simple sentences joined together with the word but, or a conjunction, and you could put any conjunction in there. Now, moving on to complex sentences. Don't worry, they are not nearly as hard as they sound. The name makes it sound really tricky. Complex sentences begin with a conjunction, and they have 2 separate ideas, like a compound sentence, okay, but they're separated with a comma, and that's because you've put the conjunction at the beginning. So let's have a look at a little example of that. What I'm going to give you first is 2 simple sentences. So, she was a great English teacher, full stop. She couldn't change a light bulb safely, full stop. So those sentences at the moment look like they've got nothing to do with each other because they're just 2 separate simple sentences. What we're going to do is change them up so that they are joined together in a complex sentence, and you'll see what this looks like now. So, although she was a great English teacher, she couldn't change a light bulb safely. Now, can you see the difference there? We've linked those 2 sentences, haven't we? They make sense together. And if you look, first of all, we've put although at the beginning, so we've begun with our conjunction, and then we've put a comma in to separate the two clauses or two parts of that sentence, the two different bits of information. So now they make sense and have a really different effect than they did when they were two simple sentences. And that's all you really need to do for a complex sentence. It could be any conjunction at the beginning. We could have switched those parts around as well. So finally, let's talk about impact then, because it's no good knowing all of these brilliant kinds of sentences if you don't know how to use them to create an impact on your reader. And that's what the examiner is going to be looking for. Let's combine those skills then. So I've written a paragraph for you. Although she wasn't the most skilled at changing light bulbs, she needed to be able to see. As she turned the bulb, a bolt of electricity shocked her system. She'd left the power on. She was dazed and confused, but she was okay. She thought she should probably stick to teaching English. Now, I would like you to pause for this one and see if you can identify the different types of sentences that I've used in this paragraph. So see if you can find where the different types of sentences are. If we go through them one by one, so I started with a complex sentence, starting with a conjunction, although she wasn't the most skilled at changing light bulbs, comma, she needed to be able to see, and then a full stop at the end. That was followed by another complex sentence. As she turned the bulb, comma, a bolt of electricity shocked her system. So two separate pieces of information split with a comma, started with a conjunction. Then, pow, an impact sentence. She'd left the power on. That's a nice simple sentence with a big hard-hitting impact. Okay, so simple sentences can be really effective too. Followed by a compound sentence. She was dazed and confused, but she was okay. Two separate bits of information joined with but, a conjunction. And then I've ended with a nice simple sentence, one piece of information, ending with an exclamation mark. It can be exclamation mark, question mark, or full stop that ends a simple sentence. So what you need to do is think about the impact that these different sentence types have. So whether you need to link information, whether turning it into a complex sentence changes the meaning, or whether you just need something really simple and full of impact. Short sentences can be just as powerful sometimes.